All right, so welcome to the month of May PolitiQ Challenge. I want to welcome our three contestants, starting with Jake, Tara, and Ender, who made their way to the top of the monthly PolitiQ leaderboard by correctly answering the most number of questions. Today they will be competing for $50 by correctly answering the most number of questions, again focused on topics and major news stories related to politics from the month of May. Jake, you were coming in with the highest score on PolitiQ, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the game board to you.
Let's do major headlines for 100.
President Trump formally withdrew the U.S. from this organization last week over complaints of its handling of the coronavirus pandemic. And Ender was the first to buzz in.
It's WHO.
Yeah, that's right, the World Health Organization. He had, I think 11 days prior, threatened to withdraw over complaints that it was favoring China, and officially withdrew the U.S. This week, or last week. All right, Ender, go ahead and choose the next category.
Major headlines for 500.
The Justice Department announced it is dropping criminal charges against this former national security advisor to the Trump White House. And Tara.
Michael Flynn.
Yes, that's correct.
Major headlines for 400.
The Trump administration's recent peace deal with blank was dealt a blow after the Afghan government announced it was resuming offensive operations against the insurgent group. Tara.
Al-Qaeda.
Incorrect. Jake.
The Taliban.
Yes, that's correct.
Let's do major headlines for 300.
In response to its deadliest mass shooting in modern history, this country recently banned assault weapons. Ender.
Canada.
Yeah, that's correct. It was their largest mass shooting, I think, ever, with 22 people killed.
Let's go. POTUS 500.
Trump said he'd withhold federal money from two major swing states if they go ahead with plans to expand vote by mail. Name those states. Ender.
Florida and Michigan.
Incorrect. Jake?
I believe it was Nevada and Michigan.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, close.
Let's do major headlines for 200.
A recent analysis found that coronavirus death rates in the U.S. counties that typically vote for this party are significantly higher than others. Jake?
The Democratic Party.
Yeah. And a large part is that Democratic counties typically are more urban and more highly populated. All right, Jake?
Let's do POTUS for 400.
Trump signed an executive order last week that could open the door for the U.S. government to assume oversight of what? Ender.
Immigration.
Incorrect. Jake?
Social media companies.
Yes. Specifically, it was free speech on social media companies related to politics, but I'll accept social media companies. All right.
Let's
Jake?
do POTUS for 300.
Trump recently declared blank as essential services, or places that provide essential services, and claimed he would override governors in order to allow them to open. Ender?
Meatpacking facilities.
Incorrect. Jake?
Churches.
Yeah.
Let's do POTUS for 200.
Trump vetoed a bipartisan resolution that would have required congressional approval before he could use military force against what country? Jake?
Iran.
Yeah. Jake?
Let's just finish off POTUS.
Trump claimed to be taking this drug despite numerous studies that found it increases the fatality rate among coronavirus patients. Tara?
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, that's right. I honestly bet he was lying, but I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who cares?
I'm going to go with the environment for 500.
40% of the world's population will be living in places with near unlivable temperatures in blank years, according to a recent study. Ender.
50?
Yeah. I think the average temperature that the study cited was like 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Ender, go ahead and choose the next category.
Go coronavirus for 500.
Okay. As many as 75,000 Americans could die from drug overdose or blank as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, according to a recent study. Ender.
Suicide.
Yes, that was correct.
Let's go with coronavirus 400.
Which Native American tribe surpassed New York and New Jersey for the highest per capita coronavirus infection rate in the U.S.? Jake.
The Navajo Nation.
Yes, that is correct. All right, Jake.
Let's do the coronavirus for 300.
Approximately 83% of coronavirus deaths in the U.S. could have been prevented if we had begun imposing social distancing measures blank weeks earlier. Ender.
2 weeks.
Yes, that is correct. Had we imposed the similar restrictions 1 week earlier, the study cited something like 36,000 deaths would have been prevented. All right, Ender, go ahead.
Let's go to the environment for 400.
Nearly 24 states sued the Trump administration over its reversal of blank standards, a move that they argue endangers public health. Ender.
Emissions.
I'm going to say incorrect.
Air quality.
Tara?
I was going to say the same thing.
So,
I don't know.
okay. I'm just going to avoid that question because I guess emissions is close, but not exactly. It's fuel efficiency standards is what I was looking for. Emissions is just a little too vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's go environment 300.
The U.S. is on track to produce more electricity this year from renewable energy than from blank for the first time ever. Ender.
Coal.
Yes, that's correct. All right, go ahead and choose.
Environment 200.
Deforestation in the blank has increased by 60% during the coronavirus pandemic. Ender again.
Amazon.
Yep, that's right. Okay.
Coronavirus 200.
Over 100 prominent health officials signed a letter urging governors to make doing this in public mandatory, which they argue is necessary to combat the spread of coronavirus. Ender again.
Face masks.
Yep, and it's only appropriate that you got that correct, given you're wearing one. All right, go ahead and choose.
Let's go environment 100.
A recent study projects that global emissions of blank for 2020 will drop by 4 to 7% compared with last year due to the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. And Ender.
Carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Carbon. And coronavirus 100.
Which continent has recently become the new epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic? Jake.
South America.
Yes, that's correct. All right, and that brings us to the end of the first round. Tied for first place with 2,500 are Jake and Ender. Tara in second with 600. Again, I just want to remind the contestants that in this round you will be deducted points if you answer incorrectly, and the value of the points are a little bit higher, so just keep that in mind. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to actually open it up to Tara to choose the first category.
I'm going to go with civil unrest for 200.
Which social media company has come under fire from Trump after recently flagging numerous of his comments for violating the platform's rules on promoting false information and glorifying violence? That was quite a lot. Jake.
Twitter.
Yes, that's correct. The specific tweet was related to voter fraud. All right. Jake, go ahead and choose.
Let's stick with civil unrest for 400.
Which administration ended the Department of Justice practice of auditing local police departments in order to hold officers accountable? Jake, again.
Trump administration.
Yep, that's right. That was actually part of Jeff Sessions, his original Attorney General's first speech once he took office. All right, Jake.
Let's keep going with civil unrest for 600.
Which state's attorneys general requested a federal investigation into the handling of a recent fatal shooting that's been described as a modern-day lynching? Jake again.
That would be Minnesota's. It's Keith Ellison, I think, is the state attorney general.
Incorrect.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm gonna provide some Ender.
Georgia?
Yeah. So Keith Ellison is the Attorney General of Minnesota, and he's the one conducting that investigation, whereas Georgia's Attorney General requested a federal DOJ investigation over the county handling of Ahmaud Arbery's case. I'm fairly confident I'm correct on that, but I'll need to check up after this is over.
I think you're right, Paula.
Yeah. Ender?
Go civil unrest for 1,000.
What potential crime were officers responding to in Minneapolis that led to the death of George Floyd? Jake.
Use of counterfeit currency.
Yep. That's correct. All right. Jake.
Let's just finish with civil unrest.
Under pressure from protesters and President Trump, this state's Supreme Court overturned its governor's stay-at-home order, calling it an overreach of power. Jake again.
Wisconsin.
Yep, that's right. It feels like so long ago that happened.
Yeah. Let's do U.S. and the world for 200.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo informed the White House last week that the U.S. no longer considers this Chinese territory as autonomous. Tara?
Hong Kong?
Yep.
U.S. and the world 400?
What country recently reported that it has 0 patients currently being treated for coronavirus and has gone a week without new cases? Ender.
Vietnam?
Incorrect. Tara?
Oh, I was thinking that was the answer. South Korea.
Also incorrect.
Dang.
Jake?
New Zealand.
Yeah, that's correct. So you guys obviously took the quiz, I think probably from today, in which I do provide that question about Vietnam.
Yeah, I thought that was the question.
Yeah.
I think Vietnam hasn't had any, or is that correct?
They've had like 300 plus confirmed cases. They haven't had any deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had no deaths, which is surprising just given that it's like a relatively poor country on the border with China. Yeah. All right, Jake.
Let's do U.S. and the world for 600.
The White House recently added this country to its travel ban intended to stop the spread of coronavirus. Ender.
Brazil?
Yeah, that's right. And that was after sort of the epicenter of the pandemic shifted to Brazil, given that Bolsonaro still is calling the virus a little flu and has pretty much fought his public health experts from doing anything to address it. All right. Ender, go ahead.
U.S. and the world for 1,000.
New data shows that the U.S. accounted for nearly half of all $80 billion spent on blank last year, which is the equivalent to approximately $67,000 spent every minute. All right, no one's got it. The correct answer is nuclear weapons.
Oh.
U.S. in the world for 800.
Last week, President Trump announced the U.S. is withdrawing from this international agreement aimed at reducing accidental military conflicts. Jake?
Open Skies Treaty.
Yep, that's correct. The reason he cited for withdrawing is that Russia is not obeying the actual agreement, and the agreement itself is actually super interesting. It essentially allows countries to conduct surveillance operations via drone and planes of the other countries' nuclear facilities, which you would think is kind of counterintuitive, but the idea is that it would prevent a country from assuming a nuclear strike was imminent when in fact it was not. I'm sure I'm oversimplifying that, but that's just the general gist of what I understood from my limited research. All right, Jake?
Let's do admins and the IGs for 200.
2,000 former Department of Justice officials signed a letter calling for this person to resign for doing the president's, quote, personal bidding rather than acting in the public interest. Tara?
William Barr.
Yep, that's correct.
Woohoo! I'm back up to 600. Admin and IGs for 400.
Education Secretary Betsy DeVos expanded legal protections for students accused of what? Jake?
Sexual assault.
Yes, that's correct. Specifically, the rule change, I believe, provides students accused of sexual assault the ability to cross-examine the potential victim.
Let's do admins and the IG for 600.
The recently fired State Department Inspector General was investigating a massive arms sale between the U.S., United Arab Emirates, and what other country? Jake?
Saudi Arabia.
Yes, that's correct. Also, sorry, I didn't clarify earlier that IG stands for Inspectors General.
Let's do admins and the IGs for 800.
The former Inspector General tasked with overseeing the allocation of funds related to blank recently resigned after being demoted by President Trump last month. Jake?
The CARES Act, but I think it was specifically the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program.
Yeah. You could have been even more vague, also, just coronavirus relief funds. All right, Jake?
Let's finish off admins and the IGs.
President Trump recently fired the Inspector General who was investigating this person for allegedly favoring her husband, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Hint, she's the Transportation Secretary. Tara?
Elaine Chao.
Yes.
I forgot to lower my hand on one of those questions before, and I thought I was clicking in.
Oh.
In fact, I was lowering my hand. Got to remember to do that. I'll go major headlines 200.
All right. The Supreme Court temporarily blocked the release of what in May? Ender.
The Mueller report.
Yeah, the full unredacted Mueller report. All right, Ender, go ahead and choose the next category.
Major headlines for 1,000.
What is the official title of Jerome Powell, who made the rare move to call on Congress to inject more money into the economy in order to prevent long-term economic damage? Jake.
Chairman of the Federal Reserve Board.
Yeah, that's correct.
Let's do major headlines for 800.
This senator temporarily stepped down as chairman of the Intelligence Committee amid an FBI investigation over potentially illegal stock trades. Jake?
Senator Burr from North Carolina.
Yes, that's correct. And I believe last week they dropped the charges on the 3 other senators. All right, Jake?
Major headlines for 600.
The FBI revealed that the attacker who fatally shot 3 U.S. sailors at a Florida Navy base in December was an associate of which terrorist group? Jake.
Al Qaeda.
Yes, that is correct. And that's relatively significant because it technically marks the first time that a foreign terrorist organization was able to strike on U.S. soil. All the previous instances were people who became radicalized online and whatnot. Again, that's since 9/11. All right, and finishing it up, major headlines. An amendment to a reauthorization bill that would have required the FBI to obtain a warrant before acquiring a citizen's blank failed to pass in the Senate by 1 vote. Jake?
Phone records.
Incorrect. Ender?
Internet history.
Yes, that is correct. All right. And so with that, we have come to the end of the first and second rounds. In first place with, 10,100 points, Jake. Second with 3,900, Ender. Third with 1,600, Tara. So for this final bonus round, there are 2 questions. Each are worth 1,000 points. I don't know why I said 500 earlier. All right. So first question. In the last 2 months, America's billionaires have seen their combined wealth increase by $434 billion, while at the same time, a record 40 million Americans have filed for unemployment, which matches levels not seen since the Great Depression. Among the hardest hit by the economic impacts of the coronavirus are America's children, with nearly 1 in blank mothers with young children saying their kids are not getting enough food, according to recent studies. All right. Interestingly enough, you guys all actually guessed the same guess, which is incorrect. The correct answer is 1 in 5. You all guessed 1 in 3, which is a lot worse. All right, so with that, going into the final question in which you are all able to wager as many points as you wish. The final scores are as follows. Still in first place with 10,100 points, Jake. Second place with 4,900 points, Ender. And third with 1,600 is Tara. So if you guys want to go ahead and send me via chat right now how much you would like to wager. I mean, it's essentially pointless, but
wager everything, it doesn't matter, and Ender could wager everything, it doesn't matter.
I know.
Unless you want to go all in.
I mean, unless Jake does, yeah. He could wager.
I'm working for free this summer. I need the $50.
Well, good for you. You earned it.
I needed that last one.
All right, so the last question. Democrats have long sought to expand access to voting, while Republicans have tried to enact numerous barriers in the name of protecting election integrity. Democrats and voting rights groups won a variety of wins this month, including a federal judge in Texas ruling that the state must provide voters who are afraid of catching coronavirus with absentee mail-in ballots. Which other state saw a win for voter rights groups when a judge ruled that its recent law requiring felons to pay all court fees before being able to vote is unconstitutional? All right, well, with that, all 3 of you are correct. The correct answer is Florida.
Hey!
Yes.
Good guess.
The answer is Florida. So with that, Jake is the winner of the month of May PolitIQ Challenge, so he will be awarded $50. Congrats, Jake. I want to thank all 3 contestants for participating. Like I anticipated it would be, this was a very well matched game, so I appreciate all of you guys joining. If you want a chance to win money every week or an opportunity to compete in next month's Game Show Challenge, go to politiqtrivia.com and create a free profile. New quizzes are added daily and expire at the end of the month.